Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Out of the Park Baseball 27 here, part two of the episode with the Washington Nationals. As we are halfway through June, we're 33 and 38, which is a 465 winning percentage. Currently, our farm system is considered to be eighth after starting the season at 16th because we did pump a lot of money into the development. We're getting a little bit healthier, although our rotation and bullpen is still pretty trash. But again, we haven't kind of taken over control yet from our manager. We're kind of letting this year go just to see how, just to see what it's like. I think next year we will probably try to execute a little bit more control over our lineup and our rotation. Although Zach Littell, you know, I had not planned on bringing him back, but honestly, he's going to be 31 years old next year. He's 6'4", 220. He's making $3 billion this year for us. 2.5 stars. He's definitely not an ace. Like, he's not a guy I would say is an ace. But, I mean, here's the deal. Like, he has a 2.97 ERA. He's pitched 88 innings, 12 homers allowed. He struck out 48, 0.97 whip. Yeah, he's giving up just a 230, batting average at balls in play, or BABIP. And he has a 1.0 WAR. We know we want to address our rotation, right? Now, we know that Hertz is coming off the DL soon, and we think he's going to fit in probably around like 3 or 4. Littell, I think, could probably fit it around 3 or 4. Because even though Mark Werner has changed our stance recently from being rebuilding to neutral, I do think, this is a situation where we're still not going to have like a ton of money to go get like five, 3 starters, a couple of relievers, and address our lineup. So that kind of puts us in an interesting situation. Now, Luis Garcia has kind of cratered here. He's down at 286, 8 home runs, 35 RBIs. James Woods up to 256, 12 homers, 32 driven in. CJ Abrams, 269. And Dalen Lill is at 238. Drew Millis is doing a pretty decent job. At catcher, not going to give us much power, but he's above average defender. And he's a switch hitter, 6'2", 205. I don't have a problem with him. He might be able to stick, as a fifth everyday player. Brady House, really wasn't sure what to expect from him as our third baseman, although you can see he's doesn't have a great eye. He is going to strike out a decent amount. But he's a pretty decent third baseman. Again, not elite, but I do think, he can kind of stick in the lineup. It really kind of comes down to our DH. Jacob Young, I like defensively in center field, and our second baseman, we might want to upgrade there. And then potentially upgrade the bench a little bit. I definitely want to try to bring in a couple of slightly higher, pitchers. Maybe Cavalli comes back as like a, if we have like, maybe we bump Littell here, Cavalli there, Hers here, and then somebody else here that we just signed an ace, or somebody a little bit more ace-like. Because if we go down here to our player development, because again, right now we're considered to have the 6th best farm system in baseball, or wait, the 8th, sorry. We have Harry Ford, could be a really good catcher, right? Defensively, could also play left field, ironically. Right now he's at AAA. He's hitting 279. You can see his contact can get a little bit better. Pretty good at avoiding Ks. Decent power, for a catcher. And he's, good blocking for a lead arm, which is actually really important there. And then we have Caleb Lomavita, who's a little bit better, across the board. A little bit worse at blocking and Fraley, but he's better in terms of range and arm. A little bit quicker, a little bit lower ceiling, maybe at the plate. Eli Willett says a second baseman. He's 18 years old. Could be an elite defender. Pretty good on the base pass, though he can't bud. And offensively, he could develop into what we think will be a high tool player. He's hitting 274 in single A, so he's a few years away, though. Cabrera in right field. Again, elite defender, really good on the base pass. Not a great batting profile. Sam Peterson at left. Very similarly, although not quite as good defensively, but a little bit better on the base pass. But again, the batting profile is not really going to set the world on fire. Seaver King, also a second baseman, but can play just about everybody's everywhere. So, a good utility player. But no one who's going to really be like, oh my goodness. Jackson Kent, 23-year-old lefty, could be slightly above average with 5 pitches, decent stamina, movement could get just below average. Stuff could be average. Control could be average. It's gonna give him a few more home runs that we would like, but Susanna. Now Yarlett here, 22 years old, 6'6", 235. He's a big righty. He's a AA right now with a 4.95 ERA. That's not really great. Control's a problem. Gonna not give up very many home runs. Could have some great movement and stuff. 4+ pitches. But the control is going to be a problem. Now, we can try to develop that in the offseason. This, if the stuff in the movement progress and some of these pitches progress, he could definitely be a guy we could count on. I don't know about next year, but there's some potential there. Tejada is at A+. Not a lot really there. So, all right, let's go here to the reports and info. Minor league system rankings. Okay, we're 9th. You have Susanna, Willits, Rosario, Perales, and Sequoia. Right, so Susanna is 14th, Willits is 36th. Now, the part about the young catcher we have in this system, is actually kind of important. Right, that is actually kind of important because if we wanted to go in, and you can just see there's a crap ton of players we have recently scouted. Trying to get all the way down here to the catching prospects eventually. Where is he? No, he is a rookie prospect who we're probably not going to be able to get. He's probably going to be gone. Oh, okay. Where is my... I can't just get like a short list here? Oh, there we go. Player short search and short list. Von Lackey, that right was a guy we were looking at because the defensive ratings already are just great. Not terrible at the base pass, and again, like we think he could be a 5-star player. He might actually would be our first round draft pick, honestly, if we could get him. Now I don't know. I don't think we'll be able to get him. I think this year they were saying. All right, as you can see, we're picking 11th. Yeah, he's projected to go third to the Twins. Lombard's projected to go to the Orioles. Ace Reese to the Athletics. Now, what I don't know, I believe you could go in and you can like trade for draft picks. I don't know if the Twins would be interested. Um, yeah, I don't see right there any way to kind of like trade for the upcoming draft pick. So maybe I was missing. Maybe I was mistaken on that one. But again, we do have a talented catcher in the pipeline, and I don't feel like our current catchers are really all that awful. Keibert Ruiz so far this year has made 92 plate appearances. He's hitting 220, 4 home runs, 11 RBIs. Right, he's kind of a veteran. Contract will expire after the 2032 season. Might be somebody that we kind of look to shop around, although again he's not played all that often and he's not played all that well. So we just beat the Mariners 5-2, taking out the Royals who are 39-33. I think like Trevor Williams is gonna finish his rehab assignment. Here pretty soon. 9 days backs. Josiah Gray is going to finish his 12 days left. And then they're probably going to need to come up to the major leagues. But the problem is, neither one of them are that good. Trevor Williams does have an expiring contract. So if we could get him into the starting rotation and he pitches reasonably well, we might be able to flip him for some prospects or... It's not really about getting the money off the books because the money's coming off the books anyways. But Zach Littell, what would he want in terms of an extension? 7.75 million, 31 million overall. 4 years. At 30 years old, I don't want to go that deep. What if we did 2 years with the third year for a team option? And if we buy you out, we'll give you $3 million. And if you go 150 innings, we'll give you $2 million. Right, because that gets us, he'll be 33 years old. We'll give him $8 million a year. Because he is pitching very well, but I don't know if I really want to give him a third year. He's happy with it. So, all right, so Zach Littell, looks like we're going to try to lock him up, you know, to be a rotational piece. Definitely not going to be an ace, but, you know, keep him as part of the rotation. But that is where we'll end today's episode, where we'll finish simulating the rest of June. The next episode will be pretty much about the player draft. We're really not in a, we're 11 games back of the Phillies, game and a half behind the Marlins in third place. We're not in an awful position, but at the same time, I don't know that we're really in a position to, I can't say we're in a playoff position, right? Because I don't think we are. But we do have Garcia and Wood locked up. We tried to get Littell locked up. Cavelli, his contract will expire after next year, so we don't need to do anything with him just yet. So yeah, Littell, Cavelli, let's say we get maybe Hers. We'll continue to watch the development of our, who is that kid again? Susanna here in Double A. We'll see how his Double A season progresses and how his development progresses. Josiah Gray, probably not going to be part of the rotation. But again, it also depends upon what money we have for free agency, right? How much money we have in free agency is going to play a big factor as well. Because, for pretty limited in free agency, then, re-sign somebody like Josiah Gray, where we could go Littell, Cavelli, maybe Hertz, Gray, and then, I don't know. Because if you look at our bullpen, right, Ken Wolochuk is a 4.8 ERA, Cole Henry 4.78, Jake Irvin 7.7, Perez 7.15, and then Clayton Beater here as 15 saves, but a 4.12 ERA. Just not any kind of control. Good stuff, just no control. Just out of curiosity, we're going to take a quick look. What would he want? $1.2 billion. I'd rather do 2 years. And what if the second we go up to $2.2 billion? What would you say for that? All right, so Beater's okay with that because, again, I don't know if he'd be the closer next year, but good enough to be part of the bullpen for sure. Waldachuk, 28 years old. Good fastball. Not great at anything, really. They think he should be a starter. I mean, I could kind of see why because he has great stamina, but I think long relief might suit him better. Cole Henry, 26 years old, good fastball and curveball, not much stamina. You know, I guess they could both come back as like bullpen pieces, but I don't really love either of them, to be honest. But anyway, like I said, that'll wrap up today's episode, and I will talk to y'all later.